Hey y'all, alright, so I had some problems, and most of it is my fault. So I had prepped everything to go live on Friday, and I knew the wings were good through Friday. As I was getting everything set up, weighing out the pork chops, I needed a little bit more chicken wings to round out for 4 meals, and prep those, and we were going to have some of them tonight. And I tried to make sure like the wings were over 2 pounds of trimmed wings. And when I got the other wings out of the fridge getting ready, they didn't stink. They just had a slight odor. And these don't have any odor. And I was very nervous about cooking them. Right now, I have a track record of not ever making anybody sick with my cooking. And years ago, a long time ago, I don't think I had all 5 children yet. I did not. We were at an event, and one turkey at this Thanksgiving event was bad, and sadly my husband was one of the ones who got served that turkey, and so I know what salmonella looks like, or doesn't look like. Feels like, I guess, from my perspective, not his, because I didn't have it. So I wanted to run to town because Berkshire still has buy one get one free, and my husband told me not to. He even told me to just make the bad wings and throw them in the trash. Then I didn't want to waste all of these ingredients, so I'm going to prep these wings. They're not 2 point something pounds. They're 1.11 and 1.12. It's not quite the 2 that I wanted, but it is what it is, and this is life. And then I was trying to meal prep. I did a little bit yesterday, and I did 3 sweet potatoes while I was finishing the wings, and I got the scale out. So I'm trying to do some weighing so I can really calculate my carbs. Not that I'm watching my carbs, but I want to make sure that for my meals or my carb meals that I'm actually getting carbs in, because I feel like sometimes I'm a little too pulled back on my carbs. Anyway, I was trying to weigh them out, so I had 3 breakfasts with sweet potatoes this week, and it was going to be delicious. It's sweet potatoes, I can have turkey, and I've also got that chicken breakfast sausage, and then when I mix my yogurt with my protein powder with my yogurt, top it with that and some berries. It is so good, but the sweet potatoes are really skinny, and so whenever I was going to go just make 2 breakfasts with them, and one of them just looked off on the inside, so I scrapped that idea. So if you've had issues at some point in your kitchen, just so hopefully this is normal at some point. So for me to have 4 meals of everything, if I'm going to do 2 more meals, I've got to get to Berkshire's tomorrow or Tuesday and prep 2 more chicken wings. The frustrating thing is this has been the most hands-on, because I bought the whole wings, and you have to cut them into segments, and I don't have the sharpest knives in the world. They're not dull, but they're not sharp, and you really need a good sharp knife. And after doing 12 pounds of wings, my hands start to hurt. So anyway, kind of frustrating. The money loss, although it wasn't a terrible amount, the time loss, the energy, and all of that's kind of frustrating. And then I want to talk about I bought a new set of, I was out, and so I bought a set of Ziploc bags. I was prepping the wings, and I got out the first bag, and when I went to open it, they are sealed so tight that the tabs up at the top was just tearing off. So I'm not really sure what's up with that. So I ruined 2, and then one of these over here did the same. It started doing the same thing. So I've learned. I don't know if this is something new that's happening. I've not ever had this happen before, but if you get some and you start noticing that they just keep tearing, you can't open them, I just kind of gently try to find a section to see if I can get it open. So there's all of that. Okay, so I'm just going to do 2 sets of the teriyaki chicken wings today. A little frustrated, but it is what it is. Okay, so I'm going to tell you how I'm going to do this, and this is my idea right now. This is what I'm thinking. So I'm going to do 2 tablespoons of minced garlic, about 4 tablespoons of Bragg's, soy sauce, liquid aminos, coconut aminos. I forgot my brown swerve. I knew I'd forget something. Oh. Of course I forgot something. And I think I'm out of brown swerve, so I just have brown or golden monk fruit. My brain. Okay. 1 to 2 tablespoons of ginger, and I've got the pre-prepped ginger paste. You can use your powdered ginger or cut up your own ginger. 1 teaspoon of sesame oil, salt, pepper, and some rice wine vinegar. And that's what's going to go in here. There is, I bought it at Dollar Tree a long time ago. I do know that I think Kinder's had a, teriyaki, sugar-free, low-carb teriyaki sauce. I think I said that wrong. Anyway, so if you don't want to make your own teriyaki sauce and you can find a substitute, then just use the teriyaki sauce. This just, I know that it's pretty much on plan. I'm not perfectly on plan, but this is pretty much, I think, perfectly on plan. Okay, so Bragg's, and I have replaced the bottle I didn't have enough of last week for whatever recipe that was. And this measurements are really for 2 pounds, and it's not quite, so I'm probably going to pull back just a little bit on that. And another idea I had to do with this is going to marinate and make these hopefully tender, and yet I can hopefully get them crispy. If there's extra sauce, my thought was to boil the sauce for like 10-15 minutes. But I'm going to research it, because I do know that you have to cook the sauce. Like, you can't just take your marinade and then just brush it on chicken or meat that you're cooking, because it'll have the juices in it. But cooking it will cook the, if there's anything in there, it will cook it out. I just need to see how long I need to do it, if I even do it. I might not do it, or I could even, I guess, take some of that teriyaki sauce and brush on there at the end if I wanted to add more flavor. Brown sweetener, and typically I use Swerve, and I haven't needed it for anything, and I keep forgetting to buy it. I think I used it in one of my videos. Brown Swerve is one of my favorite sweeteners. It does have the cooling effect, and I'm very sensitive to that. But use whatever you like. Ginger. There's not much left in this one. That's about a tablespoon. Not sure what else I'm going to get out of here. There's still a little bit in here, but I'm not going to try and get that out. Another option would be to, I have a couple of options. You can just add some seasoning, salt, pepper, garlic powder, onion powder, smoked paprika if you want, and then freeze them like that, and then make your sauce. And you can even freeze the sauce with this. And then bake your chicken wings. The instructions are going to be bake at 400 degrees for about an hour. Flip halfway through, and if possible, put them on a tray that is elevated so any of the juices run down to help them get crispy. And then when they're done cooking and or baking, and you've cooked some of your sauce up a little bit, toss them in the sauce. That is another option. I'm going to kind of see how this goes. I'm hoping to do more chicken wings later. Sesame oil, I need to get some. And that plan is basically to freeze them with just the seasoning, and then kind of try that and see how that goes. And then you can do whatever kind of seasoning you want: lemon pepper, garlic parmesan, buffalo, different heats, a different barbecue sauce. Okay, I'm not going to do a whole lot, because you know my rule. For me personally, I have over salted some things, and nothing that has ever really been inedible, but you know, I don't like to over salt. And so when I use soy sauce or Bragg's, it has a saltiness to it. little pepper. And if you're not opposed to a little honey, the honey will really help with the glaze. But I'm not going to add any honey. Oh, and rice wine vinegar. About a tablespoon or two. I haven't used this one yet. I forgot. You know the rules on cooking a marinade to make sure that you cook any term is the only word I can think of. Out. Feel free to comment and let me know. I've never done that, but I've also not done wings like this or other things. And you know, when you eat traditional American type fare with sugar and corn syrup and everything, you can just go get some more teriyaki sauce or barbecue sauce or whatever it is. There's evidence that these things come out. Okay. And this is an Aldi bag. That's why it looks different, because I was just going to make these tonight, and it was just a little bit over a pound, but I had to try to make these even, so I have at least two bags in the freezer. So next Friday, I'm really going to have to try to get everything done so I can go live. It's just so hard to do. Take care of my grandmother, and then make sure I get my gym time in, and my walking in, my lifting in. I just run out of time. And then I gotta wash my hair and just all the things. And so, okay, now we're gonna do ranch pork chops. Okay, for the pork chops, if you're gonna look at the recipe, it's a kind of like a crock pot recipe, and it is not really a recipe. It is just seasonings and cooking, and that's it. So when I made this last year, I cooked it in the crock pot, and then I added took the pork chops out, and then I think I added a little bit of cream cheese to kind of make a little sauce. So what sounds good in my brain is, I don't know why pork chops and mushrooms just go great in my brain, but I think that adding either mushrooms to the crock pot or cooking them up separately, however you want to do it, whatever time you've got. The whole point of this is to make our lives so easy. No thinking, no hardly any work. So it's whatever season of life you're in, whatever, if you've got super long days, whatever your life is like, make this work for you. And personally, I do need some easy in my life right now. Yes, I do have you, babe. Okay, so we've got two options here for the ranch seasoning. This is the ranch I prepped on week 1. I have been using it some. I used it last night for crock pot ranch steak bites, garlic steak bites. I wanted to make it with a little bit of Worcestershire sauce, Worcestershire sauce, and kind of get that flavor in it as well. And I was out, of course, so this is what I'm trying to prevent, is being out of things and always having a kitchen stocked that I can make whatever I need to with just a few fresh ingredients added. So that's kind of the point of this whole thing, is to make our lives just, the healthy eating part is almost done for. So you can use, store-bought ranch, but if you are, truly a purist and you try to stay away from all the other things, then the homemade ranch is perfect. So I'm going to add a little salt, a little pepper, a little of these seasonings, and then a little ranch, and then that's it. That's all it is. So you can grill this, you can bake this, you could air fry this, you could cook this in the skillet, and you can crock pot this. You could probably pressure cook it. I'm assuming you can, because you can pressure cook almost anything. I might add a little garlic to it. Why not? I have it. Okay, so I have on here I'm also doing laundry. If you can hear my dryer just stopping. A half a teaspoon of everything is what I have written. So, because I don't, again, want to over-season before I taste it, so I'm going to do about a half a teaspoon of all the seasonings, and then 1 to 2 teaspoons of ranch. It's whatever your family likes. I also think that a little heat in this would be nice, but if you remember my daughter that moved back home to save up money for a house, and she's doing great at that, by the way, cannot handle mild, really almost anything. I remember I didn't believe her. Like, I bought something that was mild that had no heat to it, and she told me it was just too hot for her. Then I'm like, okay, I get it. Everybody's different. Okay, salt and pepper. I need to stock up on my seasonings. I don't like buying these little guys. I like to have the giant ones from Sam's and Costco. I think Walmart does sell them as well. I think some Tony's in here would be great. Or Slap Your Mama. That would be great. I can do some heat. My husband can do all the heat. And it's frustrating because he'll make things for us and I'll tell him that it's too hot and he tells me it's not. Well, it's not to you, but it is to me. I'll do a little smoked paprika. I don't know if that's on the original recipe. Those are my go-to generic seasonings. And when you cook this, I did not add any broth or water to it. One thing I have been doing when I'm freezing this, just thought about this, I've been doing this almost every time. A couple years ago, or I don't know how many years ago, I used to prep 5 dinners for the week in an hour. And I would do it, I didn't do it live, that's so long, but I would do it and then my husband would edit it. It's just so much editing for him. But I would use these totes that I got like at Home Depot or Walmart or probably even Dollar Tree has them for $1.25 or whatever it was. And I would use those totes to store my food in. And I would prep everything, and so all you had to do was just dump and go. There was nothing. I would even, if I had room and we were having chili, I would put the canned tomatoes in there with it. That way, it's just grab one tote, take it to the kitchen, and prep dinner. There's lots of ways you can prep and bless yourself. But what I've been doing when I freeze, so I will do this today, is I try to find a way that will take up the least amount of space in my freezer, and then fold them however I want, and I put them in that tote, and then I put the tote in the freezer, and then when they're frozen I take them out and then try to maneuver them in there so they're not, I hate when they get stuck together. I have to frozen a bunch of food. I've been doing freezer cooking for so many years. Made lots of mistakes, learned a lot of things along the way. And so I try to fold them so they don't stick together and they take up a very little space and get as much air out as possible. And so I'll probably put them in the tote. I need to get some more air out. Kind of, I can't see what I just did. Like this. And then just stack them. I probably 3 on top and 1 on the side, and then when I take them out, I'll just separate them, and then I can stick them in like that, or something like that. If you are not doing this like me and prepping this, I can't imagine you would be doing this, I would do the seasoning in the bag first. Mix it all up, and then add the pork chops. Is this the bag that's messed up? No, it just did not seal. Last year, for the Fill Your Freezer Fridays, I used, I had bags that had the zipper ties. They were terrible. I hated them. I had things bust open. If you're going to make, and if you do anything where you cook, you need to make sure you let it cool. I learned that one years ago. I think I prepped something like shepherd's pie or something, and The bag was very full, and the food was warm, not hot. It just wasn't cold. And I just weakened the bag, and I had shepherd's pie all over the place. But if you are able to do the seasoning and then the meat, it'll be much easier on getting all the meat coated instead of doing it like this. I posted today that if you are doing this and your family does not like ranch or pork chops, one day I was telling my dad what I was doing. He didn't really quite understand it, I think. But anyway, like one of the recipes I did was like taco ranch chicken for tacos or enchiladas or quesadillas or whatever. It seems like that doesn't really sound good. But he's not who I am trying to help with all of this. So my point is if your family hates ranch, find a different recipe to make instead. The whole point in this whole thing is to save us time and money, and hopefully make the kitchen and eating healthy just so much easier. Just knowing that you have all these things in the freezer and in your pantry stocked. I did not stock the petite diced tomatoes that I wanted to, but I need to do that. I need to do seasonings. I need to do more cauliflower rice, broth, maybe pickles or olives. So if your family is big on like jalapenos, I like jalapenos, I'm not big on them, my husband likes them. If that is something your family really likes, I would stock up on pickled jalapenos. If your family is, my friend, she doesn't even like pickles. I've not heard of somebody that didn't like pickles at all, but she does not like pickles. You wouldn't stock, if I stocked up on pickles, you wouldn't stock up on pickles, although I don't think I will stock up on pickles. So by having brown rice and quinoa and on-plan pasta and all the marinara sauce and the rotel and the tomatoes and then broth and seasonings and all of this stuff, it's going to make, if you've got kids going back to school or if you homeschool, a few minutes during the week buying meat that's on sale. And right now in my world it is chicken, pork, and ground beef are the three things that that was on sale pretty much every week. I did find when I took my grandmother to get her hair done and then Berkshire's, I did find one more roast. So I do have 4 roasts that I have gotten on clearance in the freezer. I think I'm going to make barbacoa with them. I'm not sure yet. I think that's it. I hope you've had a better day than I have with having all the work and then the prep work and then being safe and sorry. That's how it goes. And anyway, I'm going to put this in the freezer and then I will make my other video about 25 minutes sweet treat. Bye.